Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the UEA's Nursing podcast. My name's Joe Ellis-Gage and today I'm joined by Ashleigh. Hi Ashleigh.
Hiya.
And today we're going to talk about learning from feedback on assignments and kind of building confidence in your academic work.
Yep.
So before we start talking about that, just give us a brief introduction. Who are you?
I'm Ashleigh and I'm a second year student studying children's nursing.
Fantastic. So what we wanted to do is often the academic work is intimidating for new students.
Yeah.
And sometimes people kind of get a good mark and kind of go, oh, it's all right. And they kind of continue to coast through. Mm-hmm. Some people get a struggle and they pass or they fail something. And then they lose a bit of confidence in their academic ability. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we notice that step up from A-levels, college, access courses and stuff like that to our higher education courses is quite a big step for some people.
Yeah.
And they go, oh no, I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
But you volunteered to do this. I mean, I say volunteered. I think I said, can you do this particular topic? And you reluctantly said, yeah.
Yeah.
But you were a really good example of someone who's learnt from feedback and developed.
Yes.
So you have previously sort of said that when you started, you set yourself a bar of passing the assignments.
Yes.
And on reflection, probably should have set yourself a higher target.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you think you set yourself that low bar?
I kind of felt like if I passed, that was an achievement in itself because I didn't have great confidence in my assignment writing skills.
Yeah.
Anything like that, yeah.
So you didn't come into this as a natural kind of academic.
Absolutely not.
But you knew you wanted to pass because you wanted to pass to get the course.
Exactly.
And passing's fine. You know, we all achieve different grades and the achievement for some people to get a pass is as big an achievement as someone else getting a first because we all come from different backgrounds, different natural abilities and all of that. But on reflection, you probably could have achieved what you can achieve higher than you first thought, and you are starting to.
Yes.
And part of that was you learning to respond to the feedback you'd got on your assignments. Mm-hmm. And we often say, your first year of assignments is all about learning and developing. Mm-hmm. Your marks don't count towards your overall degree classification. Mm-hmm. So they do from year 2 onwards.
Yes.
It's all right. You're in a good place for it now.
I am.
So it's a good time just to learn. Don't worry too much about what the actual number says. Yeah. Think about what the feedback says. Uh-huh. So tell us about your early couple of assignments. How did they go? How did you feel confident with them when you'd submitted? What sort of marks did you get? How was it?
I did try my best with them. I did work hard with them. I spent a lot of time on them and everything like that. But I did go in with the mentality that if I pass, that's good enough for me. That is an achievement for me. And when I got my marks through, they were low marks, but I did pass. So I was like, I celebrated that.
Yeah, you were happy. You passed them.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and people don't always pass in the first time. There's resubmissions and people need that. So in a way, it is an achievement.
Yeah, exactly. So I looked at my feedback. Of course, I looked at my feedback and I was like, right, okay, for my next one, I need to make sure I do this, this and this. But I didn't really pay total attention to it. I read through it, so I knew what I needed to do in my next one, but there wasn't any resources that I saw or anything like that to kind of improve on those skills.
Do you think that you read it through and at the time you were like, yep, I'm reading this feedback and it's going to make a difference, and then by the time you were doing your next assignment, most of that had kind of slipped out and forgotten?
Yeah, it had. I kind of thought, well, I've passed, so I don't really...
Keep doing what I'm doing, I'll keep passing.
Exactly, yeah. That's the mentality that I had at that point.
And when did that change?
After my Meet the Marker.
Okay, tell us what a Meet the Marker meeting is.
So Meet the Marker, so whoever marks your work, they will give you feedback on that. And then there is... something that you can do called Meet the Marker, and it is you meet your marker basically, either face to face or through your teams, and they will go through the feedback and the reasons why they put what they put basically, and they give you they signpost you to different resources and give you advice and guidance on what you can do to improve those things that gave you the lower marks.
Yeah, okay. And So you found your first Meet the Marker meeting was with me, wasn't it? I think
It was indeed.
Yeah, and you didn't really know about Meet the Marker meetings until
No, I didn't.
I said to you,
yeah.
have a Meet the Marker meeting.
Exactly. Yeah. You said, come on, Ashleigh, have Meet the Marker. I think you could really benefit from that. And I was like, oh, okay, Joe. And I did. I really
So you did as you were
benefited.
told. You came to a meeting because I told you to.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And so to give a bit of context to it, the idea behind the Meet the Marker meeting is just to give clarity on your mark. It's not to challenge anything.
No.
It's not to argue your grade or anything like that.
No.
It is about how do I build on my current mark and my current level of work on future assignments. And we try when we give our feedback to be as clear as possible, but sometimes a conversation's much easier to portray of where you were rather than just reading the feedback that we write down. So when I read your work as an example, and I did a piece, and of course the thing is, when I marked it, I didn't know whose work I was marking.
No, exactly.
Because it's marked
you don't
anonymously.
know. Yeah.
But you get a feel on certain essays. Some you go, yeah, okay, you can see they've worked hard, they've got a grade that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Some you're like, wow, they've done really well. And sometimes you get one that, and yours was a prime example of when I read something and I went, you know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
but you haven't written it down quite the way you need to.
Yeah.
Which was like, I was like, if we had a conversation about this topic, you would get a higher grade than you did on your written work.
Yeah.
And that's why on your bit of feedback, I said, have a Meet the Marker meeting.
Yes.
And then later we checked who that assignment was, and I chatted to you about it. And then we had that. Because I think what you probably struggled with was that step up to actually doing academic style writing.
Yes.
It wasn't the knowledge. It wasn't, you never worried about actually knowing enough about certain subjects.
Yeah.
It was, how do I write it down? How do I get the evidence to back it up? All that kind of stuff. Were you worried at all about having a Meet the Marker meeting?
Not really. No.
Good.
I wasn't nervous or anything like that. I was thinking, okay, I've read the feedback. What would Joe be able to tell me that I don't already know from that feedback type thing?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what to expect with Meet the Marker. I thought, are you just going to read through what feedback you'd already given me? Or were you going to go and tell me completely different things? And you did. It was completely different to what I thought
how
it
you'd
would be.
interpreted what was on there.
Exactly, yeah. Because I didn't even know. I always thought that Meet the Marker was for students who hadn't passed.
Yeah.
That's what I thought that was for. I didn't realise it was for any student that got any grade in any assignment.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that they have one when they failed something.
Yeah.
Because they really want to work out how to pass on their resubmission.
Yes.
But actually, if you've got 50%, come to the Meet the Marker and see if next time you can get 60.
Yes.
If you've got 60, come to have a Meet the Marker and find out how you can get 70.
Yeah.
Now, there'll be times, and I think probably your first year is the time that Meet the Markers are most useful.
Yeah.
Because once you get in the swing of understanding the feedback, it kind of will make more sense. So if you get told if you have a Meet the Marker meeting after your first assignment and we explain what some of the feedback is, and then you get some similar feedback comments on assignment 3 or a 4, you'll be like, oh, I know that. Yeah, I did miss that. And it makes sense. And you don't need to Meet the Marker meeting every single time.
Yeah.
But sometimes getting 1 or 2 to really clarify some stuff in the first year, I think is really useful.
Absolutely.
And we shouldn't be telling you something that's different than that's written down, but we should be giving you clarity about it.
Yeah.
And kind of guiding you into other bits.
Yeah.
So we spoke about just like the structure of your work.
Yes. The peel structure.
Yeah, for paragraphs.
Yes.
And how did that help?
That really helped. I went, as soon as we'd had the meeting, I still had some extra time. So I thought, right, I've written down all of this that Joe's told me. I went away and I had a look at the peel structure and I was like, wow, that makes sense. And I used it in my next assignment and it was so much easier to write my assignment. And I just wish I would have known about it right at the beginning.
Yeah.
To be honest. So even just that kind of, I know there was another one that you had given me as well, but peel worked really well for me.
Yeah, so there were 2 bits of guidance and they kind of were the same thing, but different approaches.
Yeah, exactly. And the peel structure, that worked really well for me because the problem is with me, I am a talker, so I kind of waffle on in my assignments, but that helped me keep on track to the point.
Yeah, because I think I'd said to you when I was having that Meet the Marker meeting that you read the assignment almost like, here's Ashleigh, and she's got loads of stuff she wants to tell me.
Yeah.
And she's just going to make sure I know all the stuff.
Exactly.
So she's just going to go, you might have a paragraph that's massive about something that's really interesting. And then afterwards you'll be like, oh, and then also this.
Yeah, exactly.
For 2 lines.
Uh-huh.
And then you can almost see it's your chain of thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why you have the knowledge. But when you're marking it and reading it, you're like,
make sense.
This is a bit slightly all over the place. And you've clearly spent loads of time on this section.
Yeah.
But you can only get a certain amount of marks on that section, and you haven't left enough space for this next bit.
Yeah.
And you're talking about essay planning and then paragraph planning with that PL structure and stuff like that, just sort of helped keep you on track.
It did.
Now, did you remember it when you went and started doing future work? Like, has it been useful, or did you?
I plan on using it for my next ones.
Yep.
I've got one coming up, which I believe is due in at the beginning of next year. So I basically had used it on my final assignment of the first year, because I had Meet the Marker quite late on. So yeah, I will definitely be using that going forward. And one thing that I did do as well, when I used the PEAL structure and then I received my grade for that final assignment, and I improved hugely.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, all just by using a simple structure tool. And then I went back and I had a look at the assignment where I had the Meet the Marker, and I was like, yeah, I can kind of see what I did here. Like, I knew what I was trying to say, but I just didn't quite put it in the right words or in the right flow, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
But I had in my final assignment. So, yeah, that's definitely something I will be taking forward for future.
Yeah. And your marks have basically just progressively got higher throughout the year.
Yeah.
Even before you had the Meet the Marker meeting, you still built on some of the feedback you had in the early assignments.
Yes, definitely. I always use the feedback, but not to that extent.
Yeah. And the idea is, it's fine to make mistakes, or it's fine not to know about how something works.
Yeah.
Just don't make them on essays 1, 2, 3, and 4.
No, exactly, because that will show. The markers, they have access to previous work. So am I right in saying that? So you would be able to see if students are making the same?
When we mark in, we won't look at your previous bits of work. So when we're doing your assignment, we'll give you feedback just objectively on that piece of work. But if I was doing a meeting with an advisee at the end of the year, or looking at a Meet the Marker meeting, I might look at previous bits of work and say, look, you haven't developed this bit, or you have developed that bit really well, but this bit's now the bit you need to work on.
Of course, yeah.
So that's kind of the idea, is that you then just build a little bit throughout that first year.
Progressing, yeah.
And because then when you get into year 2, which you're there now, and you might be covering more complex subjects, what you're not having to do is learn how to write the actual assignment. Is in the structure of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're just focusing on the clinical stuff, or the theory that we're covering.
Yeah.
Not having to worry about, how do I structure this paragraph? How do I do referencing?
Yeah. And
all that kind of stuff.
First year is all your basics. So this is why I would say in your first year, you really need to take the feedback on board, have a Meet the Marker if you don't feel confident, even if you pass, just like I did, have that meeting, just build upon those skills and aim for high marks, because that is providing the baseline for the rest of your degree. And once you know how to write an assignment, that will help you greatly moving forward into years 2 and 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so a couple of the things that I always would recommend students do is, when you're writing an essay, open up at some point in that process, open up your previous assignment.
Yes.
Look at the feedback as a refresher and go, I know I'm not going to make that mistake again.
Exactly.
I'm going to include that, so you don't keep coming back to the same mistake.
Yeah.
And the other thing I advise people to do, I don't know if you've ever done this, and if you haven't, you should do it in year 2, is I would get you to mark your own work.
Yes, with the rubric.
So finish your first draft, get the marking criteria, the rubric that we use to mark it, mark your own. And that sounds really daft sometimes, because you're like, well, why would I mark my work I've just written? But actually, it makes you really clearly see, actually, I've not really covered that topic very well. I've glossed over that outcome. I haven't left enough space for this. I need to cut something out. And if you can be fairly objective about it, and often students are harsher on themselves than we are, that's a really good tip to build on as well to make sure you're not making ongoing mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I did have as well is when I was working at my desk on the assignments, I did have the rubric up on my wall, all highlighted and everything like that. And I could kind of, once I'd written a paragraph, I could have a look up and be like, have I actually covered that? And that was quite useful as well.
Yeah, I mean, that if we give you the criteria that we mark by, therefore it shouldn't be a
exactly.
surprise when we're marking it. You can work towards making it as easy for the marker as possible to give you a high grade, make it nice and clear.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. That was really useful, I think. So it was just a short chat, but it shows people that it's possible to build on lower grades and get them higher, build on your academic work. Yeah. But you've got to kind of take on that feedback properly. Don't just read it once and forget about it.
Yeah.
Embrace the feedback.
Exactly.
Okay.
Use it.
Cool. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching this episode. Hopefully you found it interesting, useful. Please tell other people about it if you think they might find it interesting. Hit like, subscribe, add any comments below if you've got any questions, and explore the page for other videos that you may find useful. Thanks very much, and thank you.
Thank you.